The alien survey ship drifted silently through the dark space of Sector 7, its advanced sensors scanning the unremarkable yellow star and its planets. The ship's captain, a tall blue-skinned being, stood watching the main screen with 4 of his eyes, while his other 2 focused on the data streams. "Captain, we're picking up something strange from the 3rd planet," said the science officer, his tentacles moving quickly across the control panel. "There are artificial signals, thousands of them." The captain moved closer to the screen. This was supposed to be a routine survey of an unexplored system. Finding artificial signals meant intelligent life, and that was anything but routine. "Show me the planet's data," he ordered. The screen filled with information, and the captain's skin paled to a lighter shade of blue. The readings couldn't be right. He checked them again. Surface gravity, 9.8 meters per second squared, incredibly high. Temperature range, -50 degrees Celsius to +50 degrees Celsius, wildly unstable. Atmosphere, nitrogen-oxygen mix with multiple toxic compounds. Weather systems, extreme storms, including massive rotating wind formations. Tectonic activity, highly unstable. Predator count, over 20,000 species. "This can't be right," the captain muttered. "Nothing could survive here. This is clearly a Class 12 Deathworld." But the signals continued streaming in. Radio waves, television broadcasts, digital communications, all pointing to one impossible conclusion. Not only did life exist on this deadly planet, but intelligent life had evolved and built a civilization. Back on Earth, in a military research facility deep underground, Tom Roberts stared at his computer screen with growing excitement. As head of the facility's space monitoring division, he had spotted something unusual, a brief energy signature that didn't match any known satellite or space debris. "Dr. White, come look at this," Tom called to his colleague. "I'm seeing some strange readings from just beyond lunar orbit." Dr. White walked over, coffee cup in hand. "Probably another piece of space junk," she said, but her expression changed as she looked at the data. "Wait, that energy signature. That's not any propulsion system I've ever seen." Tom nodded, his brown eyes fixed on the screen. "Exactly. Whatever this is, it's not one of ours." He ran his hand through his short gray hair, a habit when he was deep in thought. "And look at this." It appeared suddenly, stayed perfectly still for exactly 47 minutes, then vanished. No deceleration, no acceleration. It just disappeared. "Should we report this up the chain?" Dr. White asked. Tom thought for a moment. "Not yet. Let's gather more data first. If we go to the generals claiming we found aliens, we better have rock-solid proof." Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council's emergency session, the survey captain's report had caused chaos. "A Class 12 Deathworld with intelligent life. Impossible," shouted one counselor. "The data is verified," the captain replied calmly. "Not only do they exist, but they're advancing rapidly. They've already reached their moon and are developing faster space travel technology. We must quarantine them immediately," another counselor demanded. "If they leave that death trap of a planet, they could be incredibly dangerous. Anything that can survive there." The council president raised his hand for silence. "Agreed. We will establish a quarantine zone around their solar system. No contact is to be made. We'll observe and evaluate the threat level these humans pose to galactic peace." Little did the council know that their survey ship hadn't gone unnoticed. Back on Earth, Tom Roberts was building a database of similar energy signatures, slowly putting together a pattern that would change humanity's future forever. As he worked late into the night, Tom had no idea that his research would soon lead to humanity's greatest adventure and the Galactic Council's worst nightmare. The massive Council space station hummed with activity as ships from 100 different worlds moved in and out of its docking bays. In the main observation room, the Council president watched the holographic display showing Earth and its growing collection of satellites. "The quarantine fleet is in position," reported Admiral Green, a tall insectoid being. We've placed cloaked ships at all major approach vectors. No human vessel will be able to leave their solar system without us knowing. And what of their space program? Asked the president. Growing faster than expected. Admiral Green clicked his mandibles nervously. They've already established a permanent base on their moon and are planning missions to their fourth planet. A moon base on a natural satellite with no atmosphere. One of the counselors shuddered. These humans are more dangerous than we thought. Meanwhile, on Earth's moon, Tom Roberts stood at the window of Lunar Base Alpha, staring at the blue marble of Earth hanging in the black sky. The base had been his home for the past 3 months as he continued his research into the strange energy signatures. Tom, you need to see this, called Dr. White from the monitoring station. We've detected 23 new anomalies in the past week. They're forming a pattern. Tom walked over to her station, his movements easy in the low gravity. The screen showed a map of the solar system, with red dots marking each anomaly. They formed a rough sphere around the entire solar system. It's like we're being surrounded, Tom said quietly. But by what? And why? Back in the council chamber, debates raged about the human situation. Their technology is advancing too quickly, one member argued. They'd gone from primitive rockets to ion drives in less than a century. But they're still contained, another countered. Our ships can easily intercept anything they launch. The council president raised a hand for silence. What concerns me more is their adaptability. Reports show they've created habitats in every environment on their Deathworld. They live in frozen wastelands, burning deserts, even underwater in their toxic oceans. They call those research stations, Admiral Green added. And they do it for something they call science. A collective shudder ran through the chamber. On Earth, in the underground facility, Tom presented his findings to the military command. General Wilson, a stern-faced man with graying hair, listened intently as Tom explained. These energy signatures suggest advanced spacecraft using some form of stealth technology. Tom said, pointing to his data. They're positioned like a barrier around our solar system. Are you suggesting we're under alien surveillance? The general asked, his voice skeptical but interested. Not just surveillance, sir, Tom replied. I believe we're under quarantine. The room fell silent. Dr. White stepped forward with more data. We've also detected unusual gravitational disturbances. Whatever these ships are, they're big, and there are a lot of them. General Wilson stood up. I'm authorizing Project Phoenix effective immediately. Dr. Roberts, you'll have full access to all resources. If someone's trying to keep us in our solar system, we need to know why. In the council station, the president received an urgent report. The humans are building something new. Our sensors detect unusual energy readings from their moon base. Admiral Green studied the data. It looks like, no, it can't be. They couldn't possibly be developing faster than light technology already. On their own, impossible, the president said. But these readings. Should we intervene? Asked Admiral Green. The president walked to the window, watching the stars. No. Continue observation. They're still far from achieving FTL travel. Even if they develop the theory, their technology can't possibly handle the stresses. Not on their own. How wrong they were. In the Lunar Labs, Tom and his team worked tirelessly on the Phoenix project, unknowingly approaching a breakthrough that would shatter the Council's assumptions about human capabilities. As Earth rotated below, its city lights twinkling like stars, humanity stood on the brink of its greatest leap forward, and the galaxy held its breath. The experimental ship Phoenix hung in space above the moon, its sleek silver hull reflecting Earth's distant light. Inside the control room, Tom Roberts checked the final systems while Dr. White monitored the power levels. All systems are green, Tom announced over the radio to Lunar Base Control. We're ready to begin the FTL test. Understood, Phoenix. General Wilson's voice crackled through the speakers. You have permission to proceed. Good luck. Tom looked at Dr. White. Ready to make history? She nodded, her hands steady on the controls. Power systems at full capacity. FTL drives spinning up. In the Council observation post, alarms suddenly blared. The alien commander rushed to the monitoring station, all six eyes widening in shock. Impossible energy readings from the human moon base. The sensor operator reported. They're attempting faster than light travel. Stop them, the commander ordered. Deploy interceptors immediately. But it was too late. On the Phoenix, Tom activated the drive. FTL test beginning in 3, 2, 1. The ship shuddered. Stars stretched into lines of light. A bubble of distorted space formed around the vessel, and then, boom! The Phoenix shot forward at incredible speed, breaking through the quarantine line before the Council ships could react. Inside, Tom and Dr. White were pressed back into their seats as reality blurred around them. It's working. Dr. White shouted over the engine's roar. We're actually doing it. In the Council station, panic erupted. They've broken through. Admiral Green reported to the Council president. The humans have achieved FTL travel independently. Track them, the president ordered. Where are they going? Their trajectory. Admiral Green's mandibles clicked in distress. They're headed straight for the Centauri system. Back on the Phoenix, Tom and Dr. White watched in amazement as their ship sliced through space faster than light itself. But something was wrong. The engine's pitch changed, becoming higher and more unstable. Power fluctuation. Dr. White called out. We need to drop out of FTL. Tom grabbed the controls, initiating emergency stop. The ship lurched violently as it returned to normal space. When the view cleared, they found themselves floating in an unknown region of space. And they weren't alone. A massive alien vessel hung before them, its design unlike anything human eyes had ever seen. Its hull was covered in strange symbols that seemed to glow with their own light. Tom, Dr. White whispered, I don't think we're the first ones out here. The alien ship's communication system activated, projecting a holographic image into the Phoenix cabin. A tall, blue-skinned being appeared, its six eyes blinking in surprise. Impossible, the alien said in perfect English, having instantly decoded their language. You're from the quarantine Deathworld. How did you escape? Tom straightened in his chair. Escape? We didn't escape from anywhere. We're on a scientific test flight. The alien's skin changed color slightly. You mean, you developed FTL technology on your own? On a Class 12 Deathworld? Deathworld? Dr. White asked. Earth? That's our home. It's perfectly habitable. The alien commander stood silent for a moment, then spoke urgently into a device on its arm. Within minutes, more Council ships began appearing around them. You will need to come with us, the alien said. The Council must address this situation. Tom looked at Dr. White, then back at the alien. We'll come peacefully, but on one condition. We want answers. What's this Council? Why was Earth quarantined? And why do you call our planet a death world? All will be explained, the alien replied. But I must warn you, the Council is not used to surprises, and you humans are the biggest surprise we've had in 1,000 years. As the Phoenix was escorted by the alien fleet, Tom couldn't help but smile. They'd come looking to test an FTL drive, but they found something much bigger. Humanity's place in a galaxy that feared them without even knowing them. The real adventure was just beginning. The Council chamber was massive, with curved walls stretching up hundreds of feet into a dome that showed the stars beyond. Tom Roberts and Dr. White stood in the center of the room, surrounded by alien representatives from 100 different worlds. Some floated in anti-gravity fields, others stood on specialized platforms, and a few were contained in environmental suits. This emergency session of the Galactic Council will now begin, announced the Council President, his blue skin glowing slightly under the chamber's lights. We are here to address the unexpected arrival of representatives from Earth. The Death World, shouted one counselor, a being made mostly of crystal. How did they breach the quarantine? Tom stepped forward. We didn't know about any quarantine. We were testing our first FTL drive when we encountered your ships. A murmur ran through the chamber. Admiral Green stepped forward, his insectoid form towering over the humans. You mean to tell us, he clicked, that you developed faster than light travel while living on a Class 12 Deathworld? Dr. White spoke up. I keep hearing that term, Deathworld. What exactly makes Earth so dangerous by your standards? The council president gestured, and a hologram of Earth appeared in the chamber center. Your world has gravity nearly twice that of most habitable planets. Your temperature swings are extreme. Your planet has natural disasters we've never seen elsewhere. Hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions. Your oceans are made of a corrosive substance that would kill most species in the galaxy. You mean water? Tom asked, trying not to smile. Yes, and your world is filled with predators, creatures that actively hunt and kill other life forms. Most civilized worlds evolved past that stage millions of years ago. Dr. White looked around the chamber. So, on your worlds, there are no predators, no natural disasters. Of course not, replied a gaseous being floating nearby. Life should evolve in harmony, not conflict. Tom pulled out a small water bottle from his pocket. Several council members backed away in fear. This is just water, he said, taking a drink. The same substance that fills our oceans. To us, it's essential for life. The council president leaned forward. Tell us, how do your people survive in such conditions? How do you build civilizations under constant threat from your environment? We adapt, Dr. White explained. We learn. We overcome. Every challenge makes us stronger, smarter, more resilient. Fascinating, muttered a counselor covered in fine fur. They don't just survive their death world. They embrace its challenges. Tom nodded. Earth isn't a death world to us. It's home. Its gravity made our bones strong. Its predators taught us to be smart and cautious. Its disasters helped us build better, plan better. The council chamber fell silent. Finally, the president spoke again. Perhaps we have made a grave error. We saw Earth as a prison, a planet so dangerous it needed to be quarantined. But instead, it was a forge, creating something unprecedented in our galaxy, a species that thrives on adversity. Admiral Green stepped closer to Tom and Dr. White. Your ship, the Phoenix, it achieved FTL travel using technology you developed entirely on your own. Yes, Tom replied. Though we could probably use some help refining it. The power fluctuations nearly stranded us. The council president raised his hands for attention. Members of the council, I propose an immediate vote. The quarantine of Earth must end. These humans have proven themselves not just capable of survival, but of extraordinary achievement. They may have much to teach us. Teach us, asked a crystalline being. What could we learn from Deathworlders? Dr. White smiled. How about we start with our FTL drive design? From what I've seen of your ships, our approach is quite different. Maybe we could compare notes. The chamber erupted in excited discussion. The council president looked at Tom and Dr. White with all six of his eyes. Welcome, he said, to galactic civilization, though I suspect we have as much to learn from you as you do from us. Tom looked at the gathered aliens and grinned. First contact had gone better than anyone could have imagined. Now the real work could begin. The council's main learning center buzzed with activity as Tom Roberts prepared to give his presentation about Earth's history. The room was packed with alien representatives, all eager to learn about the Deathworld humans. Today, Tom began, standing next to a large holographic display. I'll share how humans built civilization on Earth. Dr. White operated the controls, bringing up images of ancient human history. Several council members flinched as they saw early humans hunting mammoths. Your species deliberately attacked creatures larger than themselves. Asked a floating gas form alien, with primitive weapons. We had to eat, Tom explained. On Earth, survival meant being creative. We weren't the strongest or fastest, so we had to be the smartest. The next images showed ancient cities, farming, and tool-making. Dr. White pointed to each advancement. Notice how we adapted to different environments, she said. Desert cities built to stay cool, Arctic homes designed to retain heat. Humans live everywhere on Earth. A crystalline being raised its glowing appendage. You mean your species chooses to live in frozen wastelands and in burning deserts, voluntarily? Of course, Tom replied. Every environment presented new challenges, new things to learn. The next set of images caused real concern. Scenes of human sports and activities. Rock climbing, deep sea diving, skydiving. Stop, called out Admiral Green. Are these images real? Your people climb sheer cliffs for entertainment. Tom smiled. Yes, and dive into ocean depths, jump from high places, race at high speeds. We call them sports or hobbies. The council president's skin had turned a pale blue. You seek out dangerous situations for fun. It's how we push our limits, Dr. White explained. How we improve ourselves. The presentation continued, showing human medical advances, space exploration, and technological development. The aliens were amazed at how quickly humans progressed. Your people went from primitive flight to landing on your moon in just 66 years, asked a furry counselor. That's impossibly fast. Tom brought up the final images. Modern Earth cities, underwater research stations, and lunar bases. This is humanity today, he said. We've learned to not just survive on our death world, but to thrive there. Every challenge made us stronger. After the presentation, in a private meeting room, the council president spoke with Tom and Dr. White. Your species is remarkable, he admitted. What you consider normal would terrify most galactic citizens. You eat food that would poison others, drink corrosive water, and seek out danger for entertainment. Dr. White nodded. We're beginning to understand why you called Earth a death world. To you, it must seem incredibly hostile. Indeed, said Admiral Green, who had joined them. But what truly amazes us is your adaptability. Most species excel in one environment. Humans seem to thrive anywhere. Tom looked out the window at the stars. That's because Earth taught us an important lesson. Life is challenge. Standing still means falling behind. We're always pushing forward, always trying to improve. The president's skin rippled with colors. Perhaps that is why the galaxy needs humans. We've grown too comfortable, too set in our ways. Your people could teach us to be stronger. And you could teach us so much about the galaxy, Dr. White added. Together, we could do amazing things. Just then, an aide rushed into the room. President, our scientists have discovered something shocking about Earth's history, something in the ancient geological records. The president's eyes all focused on the datapad. This changes everything. Get me the full council. They need to see this immediately. Tom and Dr. White exchanged looks. What could be so important about Earth's ancient history that it would shock the entire Galactic Council? The answer would change humanity's understanding of their own world forever. The emergency council session began as screens displayed ancient data about Earth. Tom Roberts and Dr. White stood watching as alien scientists presented their findings. According to geological records, the lead scientist explained, his crystalline form glowing with excitement, Earth wasn't always a death world. It was terraformed over 100 million years ago. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Tom stepped forward. Terraformed. By who? The scientist brought up more data. By an ancient species we call the Builders. They were master terraformers who shaped worlds across the galaxy. But something went wrong with Earth. Dr. White studied the screens. Wrong. How? The council president's skin darkened with concern. The terraforming machines malfunctioned. Instead of creating a standard paradise world, they created a crucible, Admiral Green finished, A world of constant challenges and changes. The project was abandoned, considered a failure. Tom's eyes widened. So Earth wasn't meant to be this way. The storms, the varied climates, the active geology. All accidents, the scientist confirmed. The machines were supposed to create a stable, peaceful world like most habitable planets in the galaxy. Instead, they created a planet that never stopped changing. But that's what made us who we are, Dr. White realized. Every challenge, every hardship, they forced us to adapt, to grow stronger. The council chamber erupted in discussion. The president raised his hands for silence. There's more, he said. Scans of human DNA show signs of subtle manipulation. The builders didn't just change Earth. They changed your early ancestors too. Tom sat down hard in his chair. They experimented on us. Not exactly, the scientist explained. They gave your species the potential for rapid adaptation, the ability to survive almost anywhere. They wanted to see what would happen. Dr. White's face showed understanding. So that's why humans can live in so many environments. We were engineered to adapt. Yes, the president said, but no one expected you to adapt so well, to become so resilient. What the builders considered a failed experiment actually created something unprecedented, a species that thrives on challenge. Admiral Green stepped forward. This explains why humans develop so quickly. Your entire species evolved in an environment that demanded constant improvement. Tom stood up. So what happens now? Now that we know the truth about Earth. The president's skin rippled with colors. That's what we must decide. Your people are no longer just survivors of a death world. You're living proof that adversity breeds strength. The council proposes a new classification. Admiral Green announced. Earth will no longer be called a death world. Instead, it will be known as a crucible world, a place where strength is forged through challenge. Dr. White smiled. A much better name, I think. But what about the quarantine? Lifted immediately, the president declared. But we have a proposal for humanity. Your unique abilities, your strength, your adaptability. The galaxy needs these qualities. Tom raised an eyebrow. What are you suggesting? An alliance, the president said. Humanity would help protect and strengthen other species, teach them to adapt and grow. In return, we would share all our knowledge and technology with Earth. The chamber fell silent, waiting for the humans' response. Tom looked at Dr. White, then back at the council. Earth was no accident, Tom said finally. Whether the builders meant to or not, they created exactly what the galaxy needs, a species that never stops trying to improve, never stops facing challenges, never stops growing stronger. And we'd be honored to help others do the same, Dr. White added. The council president's skin glowed bright blue with joy. Then let it be recorded. Earth is now a full member of the Galactic Council, and humanity is officially recognized as a guardian species. As the chamber erupted in cheers, Tom couldn't help but smile. What started as an FTL test had led to the greatest discovery in human history, not just about their past, but about their future role in the galaxy. The real work was just beginning. 6 months after Earth joined the Galactic Council, Tom Roberts stood on the observation deck of humanity's first deep space training facility. Below him, alien students from 20 different worlds practiced in Earth normal gravity, supervised by human instructors. They're doing better than expected, Dr. White said, joining him at the window. Even the crystal beings are adapting to higher gravity. Tom nodded. Amazing what they can achieve when they stop being afraid of challenge. The facility, named Phoenix Academy, after the ship that started it all, had become the galaxy's premier training center. Species that had lived in comfort for millions of years were learning to push their limits, to grow stronger. Ambassador Roberts, call the voice behind them. Tom turned to see Admiral Green approaching. The first batch of modified environmental suits is ready for testing. Excellent, Tom replied. These should help more species explore difficult environments safely. The suits were just one of many projects humans had started. Earth scientists were helping other worlds develop better defenses against natural disasters. Human doctors were teaching alien medics about rapid response and adaptation to new diseases. In the training room below, an instructor called out, "Everyone ready? We're increasing gravity by another 5%. Some alien students wobbled, but none fell. 6 months ago, most of them could barely stand in Earth gravity. Now they were handling even more. Council President arriving, announced the station's eye. The president's skin glowed with health as he entered, a sign of his own training progress. Remarkable progress, he said, watching the training below. Who would have thought that what we feared as weakness could become such strength? Dr. White smiled. Fear of weakness is the real weakness. Facing challenges makes us all stronger. We're getting requests from more worlds, Admiral Green reported. They all want human trainers, human advisors. Your people have become the most sought-after teachers in the galaxy. Tom turned from the window. And what about the Builder ruins? Any progress? The president's skin rippled with excitement. Yes, we found more data about Earth's transformation. It seems the Builders didn't abandon Earth because it was a failure. They abandoned it because they were afraid of what they'd created. Afraid of Earth? Dr. White asked. Afraid of what Earth would produce, the president corrected. Their calculations showed that any species that survived there would become extraordinarily capable. They feared such a species would dominate the galaxy. Tom laughed. Instead, we're helping the galaxy grow stronger. I wonder what they would think of that. Just then, an alert sounded. A young human officer rushed in. Ambassador, we're detecting strange signals from the galactic core. They match Builder patterns. The room fell silent. Then Tom smiled. Well, maybe we'll get to ask them ourselves. Dr. White checked the data on her pad. If they're still out there, they'll find a very different galaxy than the one they left. Thanks to Earth's example, species everywhere are learning to embrace challenge instead of fearing it. The president's skin shifted to a deep blue of determination. Let them come. The galaxy they hope to keep comfortable and controlled is gone. In its place is something better, a civilization that grows stronger through cooperation and shared challenge. Admiral Green's mandibles clicked in agreement, and humanity will lead the way. Tom looked out at the stars, thinking about the long journey that had brought them here. From a quarantined Deathworld to teachers of the galaxy, from feared outsiders to respected leaders. No, he said finally, we won't lead. We'll walk together, facing whatever challenges come our way. That's the real lesson Earth taught us. We're strongest when we help each other grow. As if to emphasize his words, cheers erupted from the training room below. An alien student had just broken their species' gravity endurance record. Earth was no longer a prison or a death world. It was exactly what it was meant to be, a crucible where strength was forged, not through fear or domination, but through the simple, powerful act of refusing to accept limitations. The story of humanity's rise from a quarantined world to galactic teachers was just the beginning. The real adventure, the growth and strengthening of an entire galaxy, was just getting started. And somewhere out there, the Builders were about to discover just how wonderfully wrong their fears had been.